All right. Well, to respect everybody's time, I think we've got a pretty good crowd that's starting and anyone else can pour in. But I want to say welcome, welcome. I'm excited to do yet another wonderful webinar with you all. And so, Paul, to give you a little background, this is the group that's here has gone through one iteration or another of the last 7 years of TREC's boot camp, right? TREC Community Investors boot camp. And so the real estate boot camp. And so we want to make sure that we create a space where everyone that's gone through there, they now have the knowledge and it's an excellent program. But we wanted to just give a little more rounded out information because I think we talk about all the time, you and I especially talk about how programs are great and then you have to go into the real world. So I just wanted to say this is our second in our series and we're very excited to have everyone here. Before we jump in with Paul, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew where to find our pre-development information for our pre-development capital at TREC. And this group is particularly important because we know that small-scale mission-driven developers, diverse developers have the hardest time getting that pre-development capital in the door. So an organization, a CDFI like TREC, is really vital to putting that capital into the community. And so, one of the things that we do at TREC, and I don't know if I can share. Yeah, I'm going to stop this one and then just show everybody, make sure everybody knows where on our website you can see. So if you go to the TREC Community Investors page and you go to pre-development loans, when you go here, it tells you everything that you need to know about getting pre-development capital, at least how to start working with us. Now, that may not be the way to get it, but that's the way to start working with TREC. And so our max loan is up to $750. We've done a little bit more, but there's usually special cases, and we have to go to our committee to lay that case out really flat for everybody to show up and get that money. But we've done, $1 million and some change, but I won't make Clint sweat over there because he's probably like, God, no, let's just keep it around there. But our max is 5 years. And know that we are right now we focus on Dallas and Collin counties. But once our CDFI recertification comes back, we will be able to open that up and be across at least North Dallas. Kiwanis, is it just North Dallas or is it North Texas? I always flip flop back and forth on that one.
North Texas.
North Texas. All right, perfect. So that's even better than North Dallas, right? We're across Texas, North Texas. And then I'll let you walk through the rest of these. I don't want to get too far into this, but well, no, let's walk through it really quickly. Your sponsor guarantee. So who's going to be the person that's going to say, if everything goes awry, we can still pay for that. So we need that person, whether it's you or someone else. And then your personal guarantee. For-profit developers, you need a personal guarantee. So you need to be able to say, you know what, if everything falls apart, I got it. Now we're going to look at all of your documentation to make sure you got it, but that's something that you need to be prepared to do. And then your project loan takeout financing, what's the out? How are you going to repay this? How's TREC getting paid back and anybody else that's a part of this so that we can get out of this? And then, collaterals required. But we can talk about also senior and subordinate liens. I know Paul's going to give us a master class quickly or shortly about all of those pieces. So I just wanted to share that and make sure everybody was clear where you could find it on our website. And with that, I will say, sometimes you surround yourself with people smarter than you, people that have been doing this a lot longer than you, or people that work in different areas. So we know what maybe we know what the Dallas and the Texas landscape is for capital, but maybe it's good to know what's outside of Dallas, what's outside of Texas, and what other opportunities are available. So it behooves us to talk to someone who has a larger scope, right? So that you can see maybe it's not just here, maybe it's not just us. So one of the things when I ask people, hey, listen, I'm sometimes maybe I've voluntold a lot of people, but I say, hey, friend, listen, I'd like you to come talk about your smart things that you do. And they generally go, sure. So with that, I invited our speaker today, Paul Perez. He is out of New York. He is all things real estate. He's all things community. He's all things capital. And so, who better to come and talk to us? And I know that you read the bio, and if you didn't read the bio, if you know anything about me, I don't believe in reading to competent, smart people. But I do want to shine the fact that he is Buffalo. He's the Bronx, HUD, commercial real estate developer. Listen, Paul, I can run your resume down, but I really want to jump into this conversation with you. So with that, I will say welcome, and you can jump on and think about. I'll just give you one long question, right? For the individuals here who are starting this work or in the middle of this work, and they want to get an idea, they want to understand pre-development capital, right? We know what they say it's for. We can read that in a book. You can see that on paper. Tell us about your pre-development capital journey. Tell us about your early journey and, where you are now and how is it different for you. With that, I'm going to give you the floor.
First, thank you, Dominique, and thank you everyone for allowing me to join y'all today and to speak to the great work that you are currently doing and will partake in the near future in your projects. As a developer, I'm speaking to you all. This is not an easy task. This is a heavy lift. To the instructors, thank you for pouring into everyone because that's work that is so essential to get a project moving forward, and especially for communities that haven't otherwise received that information. You got to know how to start and to speak to experts and people who understand that process and understand what it takes to get that funding really makes a project come to fruition. It takes it from an idea conception to fully completed. And I just want to thank everybody on this call for all the work that everyone is doing. So yes, just a little quick synopsis of myself. I'm from the Bronx, New York City, born and raised. Unfortunately, the Yankees lost last night, so I'm a little sad about that. Um, but we still here in good spirits. I live in Buffalo, New York. So for you guys and to put it in perspective for the state of Texas, it's like I'm from Dallas, but I live all the way in San Antonio, right? It's a whole nother world. It's a different market. It's a different part of the state. I have a cousin who does real estate. He's in San Antonio, and I have some other cousins that live in Houston. So I'm a little bit familiar with the state of Texas. So yeah, that's how I'll put it in perspective for you guys. So the market here is much more cheaper. It's definitely it has its different geographic parts of it because it's a city that was built for 500,000 people, but it only has 250,000 people living. About 261,000 people living today. And most of that growth has been due to the refugee population coming in to the city of Buffalo. We are a border city to Canada. Literally, Canada is right across the bridge. I look out the window, Canada's right there. Um, and we're about an hour and a half with traffic, 2 hours away from Toronto, the city, which is Canada's New York City. So there's a lot of growth and development. Niagara Falls is about 20 minutes away as well. So there's a lot of tourism that happens in that area. Um, so a little bit about the work that I'm doing in real estate. So like yourselves, I did go through a CDFI program to do some training and learn more about real estate and get involved in real estate development. So when I started off as a landlord. And I actually learned a lot about real estate through YouTube on my phone. I have a master's degree and I didn't go to school for real estate or business, but it helped teach me about that work. So fast forward, I did that work. I started working at NACA, became a loan officer. So I really entrenched myself into learning how real estate works from a financial perspective because I
Pause.
know,
Pause real quick. I'm sorry. NACA. You said it, and then I want to make sure everybody's
oh
clear
yeah.
on NACA and the power of it. Go.
Okay, yeah. So NACA is a not-for-profit. They're located across the country. They do home purchasing. I was able to get my house through NACA, no closing costs, no down payment, no matter your credit score, even though they want to make sure that you pay your bills on time within the most recent 2 years, no charge-offs, no collections. And I got a 3-unit house for no closing costs, no down payment, and I purchased it at about 300,000, put about rolled in the $35,000 in repairs onto the property, and then now the property is worth $570,000 in 9 years. And I became a landlord, so I helped finance my business. That that move, me doing that work, really helped inspired me to go all in into real estate because I started to realize and know that the communities that own their properties tend to do better. They have a better quality of life. They have better opportunities to education, health, etc. So homeownership was that pivotal factor to me that identified where a community was trajecting. And I said, okay, that's what I need to do. I need to be in a homeownership position. Later, that transferred all the way into going into the pandemic. And instead of me, because the prices were going so high, instead of me wanting to buy a property and rehab it, I started to get inspired to develop and build a property. And that's when I got connected with associations similar to this, CDFIs, but local to us in Buffalo and New York State, um, to help learn and do the training for real estate development. I'm in the process now. I JV'd, I partnered with a colleague, a good friend of mine. She's a sister to me and my family. Um, we are building a laundromat, eco-friendly laundromat facility that will have 5 residential units, 4 residential units upstairs, one ADA accessible residential unit downstairs. It'll be the first of its kind for our city, for this region, fully electric because of New York State's laws going into effect in 2026. They want all new construction to be fully electric from the heating resources as well. And we got the zoning approved. We had used our pre-development monies that we got from our local CDFI to help us pay for the architect plans, for our attorney costs, to move this project forward. We're now in the process of finalizing the full capital stack with the CDFI. And the hardest part, and I'm sure you all know of this, there's the education portion of it, which I think CDFIs like TREC, shout out to NARAB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, is the course that I went through, and they're national. The national previous past president, she's from Houston, Texas, Dr. Courtney Johnson Rose. She's a real estate developer as well. She helped create that program and that classwork for us. And by way of going through that class and doing that work, I was able to be afforded an opportunity to speak directly to the Secretary of HUD, former Secretary of HUD, during the Biden administration about our project. And though money didn't move forward with it, it still gave me that self-efficacy that I am on a good trajectory, that this is a valuable project and it's something that needs to be done. And it's for the community, by the community. So, yeah.
Question for you. So awesome. First of all, that's a super cool, and I'd love to unpack a little more about the laundromat. We'll probably nerd out about that offline. That's okay. When you mentioned that you JV on a project,
Mhm.
right? So you JV on a project. Explain a little bit more if anybody is kind of when we talked about the guarantee and the guarantor and all of that, that JV is essential to moving your projects forward. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And
Yes.
explain that kind of structure that you have so that you can move further and faster together.
Yeah, I mean, I liken it to nature. And in nature, you see that, the sardine run, birds are gonna go, they're jumping in the water, they're picking out as many fish as they can. That's us as individuals, right? But if you want to go faster and further, as the African proverb says, right, then you have to work as a collective. And dolphins, they tend to communicate with each other, and then they'll group it, and they'll group the fish, and then one will jump in and grab some fish while the other two are circling. The other one goes in and grabs a fish while the other two are circling, and they just keep that rotation. And But Black and Latino communities alike, we can't say that there's these redlining and atrocities and racism that's happening when we as individuals, right, and as a group, we this is our house. We have to take care of our own house. We have to wake up. We have to realize that it's on us to be working collective. Now, everybody ain't gonna get along with each other. Let's be real, and I get that, right? But it behooves you to find people who are like-minded and share the same principles and values that you share to work together to get a project done. Because this project that we're talking about right now is about $3.8 million. You know, even at 10%, that's $380,000. You know, who has $380,000 in this group right now, liquid? Because if you do, I got a project for you. To invest in. But it gets to that point where we have to work together to move some projects forward, and that's okay. You it behooves you to do that work, and it's been the best thing for me. It's actually been admired, and we've been gaining a lot of national attention for it. And I can only imagine, God willing, that this project is fully funded and starts going into execution next year. That we're going to get even more attention. And this could be a model for other people and groups to follow as well, because other groups are doing it now.
Right, right. And so this is super awesome. And so the question is, when you got into this, you know her, right? She's your friend. What does that look like without giving all the details of your complete structure? But if you was a person you didn't know, right? And you started and you said, okay, I need a JV, somebody that's got the strength to hold this deal up, right? Somebody that comes with me, because teams are the key in development, right? What does that structure look like for you? How did you put those together? How did you find that JV partnership? What does that look like for you all? Who carries the
Yeah,
weight? You're, as the JV. Yeah, so there we go. What's the role of the JV other than financial? And I see your
yeah.
other question, Tanya. I got you.
So that's a great question, and thank you for bringing that up because
Yeah.
as it goes, we were not friends. I didn't even know her prior to starting this project. We actually got connected because she got connected through me from a contractor that I was working with that I knew. And then she also heard me speak at another Black Developers Forum that was hosted by the city of Buffalo for emerging developers. And she just, was really I want to say appreciative of the passion that I spoke of at that event and how to really help move our community forward. So much so that she said, "Listen, I have a project that I'm working on. I would love for you to come out and speak on the project. I'm gonna host a equity crowdfunding event." So then I went to the equity crowdfunding event. I spoke on the project's behalf, and I also invested $5,000 into the project. Unfortunately, time had passed and the crowdfunding wasn't enough to meet the goal that they needed. So she, informed me and she said, listen, unfortunately, the time has lapsed and we are going to have to refund everybody their money. And I said, don't refund me my money. I believe in this project. I believe in you. And it's not just her, it was her and another partner of hers, Afro Latina from the Bronx, that they were both in college that were doing this project. And I said, don't give me back the money. Just let's find a way to reinvest it and put it back in because I want to see this project come through. And then she said to me, well, I'll do you one better. How about you just become a partner on this project? And that's how we started the JV. And ever since then, we've been going to different meetings, going to different presentations. We did a pitch contest through LISC down in New York City as well. Um, Spoke to people. So getting the practice in the field of speaking to private equity investors, having conversations with the other CDFIs, understanding, what are the rate of returns that they want, what is the community impact that they want to see, what is your equity contribution to this, all helps out, for as many doors, and I'm being honest, as many doors that have closed and will close on people, those are all learning lessons. And you take those learning lessons from each opportunity to further build on your project and make your project more sound. And eventually you're going to crack that code where you will break through. As I'm saying this to you, I'm saying this to myself too. And you're going to break through.
Yeah.
But it takes that perseverance and that willingness and that support, that network. And, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, you and your colleagues right now, your cohort right now, that is the perfect network opportunity for you because they're all in the trenches with you doing this work either in the same levels or at the same time. So relying on one another, connecting with one another, having conversation, who's doing what work, what projects are working, what type of materials are you using, all of that is going to be highly beneficial for you because this is a marathon. This isn't a short race. So you will cross paths again. And you get to learn each other's work ethics and capabilities too.
And so development is not a silo sport, it's a team sport, right? It's not a solo sport. One of the questions, so the role of the JV sounds like partnerships, uh, connections, lifting each other up outside of capital, right? And ideas, innovation. What else would you say the role of the JV is? And also, is this normal real estate developer lingo?
Yes, it is normal real estate language, lingo, etc. JV just means joint venture, for those that may not know. And is partnering. These are big projects. When you're doing fix and flips, $200,000 houses, $300,000 houses. Some people have the ability to just put the capital in themselves, buy the house, fix it up, and keep it going. No, you're talking about new construction projects. You're talking about multi-million-dollar projects. You're more than likely, excuse me, as an individual starting off, are not going to have that type of capital. So JVing is essentially what you should be doing. And sometimes it's not even just JVing. Sometimes it's just I'm the owner and I'm just going to take in an equity investment. They're not going to be the partner. They're just the equity investor. And at that point, that's a SEC compliance, right? And I'm not a certified accountant, I'm not an attorney. Just want to make sure I state that. But now you go into a different bracket because now you're talking about securing an asset to make an income on it. So with a JV though, you're saying you're a partner in this. So, depending on how you write out your contract, you can have a contract that says you're a 20% equity investor or partner on this contract, or you're a 50-50 partner, or you're the 80, I'm the 20, however you work it out, the banks have thresholds. And once you reach typically that 20% threshold, that's when they're gonna want to see your partner's income and they want your partner to also personally guarantee the project as well. So understanding what those thresholds are, once you do find somebody that you do want to JV with, if you choose that route, is really going to help you out because it truly is a marriage. It is a contract. You are tied in with this person, and you need to make sure you detail how you get in and also what your exits are. So, they can say, hey, we're going to view this contract for 5 years. I'm in it for five, and then we have an option on the fifth year to either pull out or to go somewhere else. And if it does well, which I pray it does for everyone, then you could say we can continue going through with this project and get more funds to do more acquisitions and to scale. And then you can start bringing in different investors, etc. There was a question too, I didn't want to forget, Miss Tanya Brown on the laundromat and Pat's, I believe you asked.
Apartments. She was trying to
Apartments.
the
Oh, the
apartments.
apartments. How did you
Type,
choose it? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just asking, what was your question? You said, how did you choose the laundromat and apartments?
Yeah, not to get too bogged down into that detail, but I'm just wondering how you decided that the project was going to be a laundromat and then apartments, or was it that you wanted to do apartments and then the laundromat idea came up? I'm just wondering how that came about.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. The why is always important, right? When you're doing real estate development, because it's a long process. We've been working on this project for, at least me, I've joined this project now going on 2 years. So because I've joined on 2 years, it's been long for me and stressful for me. But I know for my partner, she's been doing this project now, I want to say 4 years. So it's been very difficult. But the reason why we chose this project was because I don't know how many people are familiar with the Tops massacre that happened in 2022 in Buffalo, New York. There was a white terrorist attack, racist attack on a black owned, well, that isn't a black owned, but a supermarket in a predominantly black community. And he killed 11 people. Actually, two of my fraternity brothers' mothers were killed in that horrific attack there as well, right? That supermarket is only but 3 blocks, 4 blocks away from where we're building. And when you're doing community development, right, you're thinking in real estate development, you got to think in the perspective of the banks, and you also got to think in the perspective of the community. So there's the community need, which was there is no laundromats within a 18-minute walking distance. And Buffalo gets cold. Like I know y'all get cold and y'all see a little snow, y'all shutting everything down. No, I'm talking about Buffalo gets like 6 feet of snow at a time. Okay. So it can get real crazy up here. And if you don't have access to wash your clothes, that's a need for you to work, for your kids, for just daily living. It's a sanitary need. Then in addition, Buffalo also has a huge vacant housing stock. And because Buffalo has a huge vacant housing stock, there's not enough apartments that are available for people to live in. And the culmination of all of those factors helped tell us that there was a need on this vacant lot and that we should develop on it and we should actually build these specific things. And with mixed use on the banking side, right? Because it's mixed use, you're still generating revenue, whether residential apartments are going down, commercial may be going up, or vice versa. Commercial may be going down, residential apartments going up, or it could be both. Both are going up at the same time. So it really helps hedge against your your shortcomings if you are to receive one in any industry within the commercial real estate. So that was our approach. And also, too, I forgot to mention, it's not just a laundromat, it's a laundromat with an organic cafe. So we're going to have a black owned laundromat operation. We're gonna have a black-owned cafe. She's actually Puerto Rican, Afro-Latina cafe in there. Yep, for fresh smoothies, which they don't even have access to up here in that neighborhood as well. So it'll be first of its kind. And we also will have a wash and fold service, a black-owned wash and fold service too. So we're putting 3 businesses in this one commercial space to just really help maximize and generate as much revenue as we can. And this was all the idea of my partner Brandy. She had that vision, and I was like, "Let's go, let's do it, let's make this happen."
That was just a tiny masterclass in structure. Um, eh, can you made a point about the mixed use, right? And that's a really valuable point. 2 points that are valuable. Well, there's been a lot of them, but two of them that stick out. One was that you got the house from NACA to get you into real estate. You got the three unit, threeplex, triplex, and then you were able to take that and turn that into development, right? You started as a landlord and then walked into development. Trust sounds like a huge factor because you didn't know your JV, your partner, you didn't know her, and you all had to trust one another. So I had a conversation recently, and it was how do you trust people in this space? And I think it's just you do, right? Until you don't. And so talk a little bit more about, A, we know trust, but B, when you say that mixed use, structuring that deal so that when you walk in the door for pre-development capital, what's the best structure that you found? How have you made that mix so that you get that pre-development capital? Is it walking in with a mixed use project? Is it more rental? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we were able to raise, and this number has increased as well. So we were able to raise $500,000, so half a million, from the New York State Empire State Development for this project, specifically for the commercial aspect of it. And then we were also able to raise $250,000 from the county for this project as well, as long as we were putting in affordable housing units. And then we got $40,000 in grant funding from LISC, which is a CDFI, that also provided us with a $200,000 loan for our pre-development funds. So putting all of that together really helped carve out the need. And it's the state, as a real estate developer, you're a problem solver. So it behooves you to just start listening to the community and listen to the government. If there's subsidies that are out there, see where you can get that money to make it match. Because there's always a need for housing. People always need a place to live, and then a price point that is also affordable. And when we talk about affordable housing, a lot of times there's a misnomer that affordable housing means very low income. No, affordable housing means workforce. People who actually got full-time jobs and are still, struggling because the cost of living has been going up exponentially throughout the years. And we don't have to have a course on inflation because now everybody understands what that is. If you lived through the pandemic, you got to see it firsthand. So I think that having that need of affordable housing was just an easy, no-brainer for us. Like, yes, we need to, provide residential. I have argued, and my partner shares the same sentiments, that our next project that we want to work on ideally would be to create home ownership opportunities, not just rentals, but home ownership opportunities. And to create that in a way that unfortunately not everybody wants, a simple fee, 1,200 square foot plus house with a backyard and front yard. Some people just want to own a property in which they live in a building. And that's where I came from. I came from living in a building, but my family were renters. What if we were in a position where we lived in a building, we didn't have to worry about the maintenance because it was included, but we owned the apartment in which we lived in? Now you're still building generational wealth. And that shouldn't be overlooked as well. And that's conversations that we need to have as leaders and developers in our communities with our elected officials to help make those things happen. And I also would say, when you talk about the capital stack, the subsidies were pivotal to making it happen. And in order to get the subsidies, and I want to be meticulous with my words here, you have to be politically involved. Don Peebles, if you don't know who he is the largest African American real estate developer in this country. Okay, Donahue Peebles, look him up. And he has this quote that I stand by it, and within this real estate development world is real estate development is the crossroads between economics, macroeconomics, and politics. It's where it merges. And if you don't believe me, go and try to put a building up without getting zoning approval.
We are
No.
ground zero for that in Dallas is an amazing political space. One of the things that's really great about TREC is TREC has a policy, right? Has a PAC and has a heavy policy input. And so that's the beautiful thing. And if we use it well, and there's also consulting services. So, we have members who give their time and talents. This is not a TREC commercial, but I just want to give you a little background on, when you speak of policy that done well, we can marry the education with that. Quick question about you being for profit or nonprofit.
So I am for profit. I will also advocate, and that was a great question, Ms. Tori B. I will also advocate that individuals, if you can, also create a not-for-profit arm, because there are certain funds and benefits, whether it be lower interest rates, lower down payments, that you get as a not-for-profit that you don't get as a for-profit. And there's many companies that have both. So that is something that as I'm going through our first, commercial development project, looking forward to implementing in the future. I see another question here. I have from Terry Benavides. I have land paid off that is zoned multifamily. The lots around me are currently being developed as townhomes and apartments. I'm considering building 3 to 4 units with a small green space that is not connected. Other similar lots were developed with 5 connected townhomes. It is my first step meeting with the architect to draw some sketches to see how many units I could fit on there with green spaces. I know that 5 units could possibly generate more revenue. However, having green space could be more attractive and equal out. How do I start making the evaluation? Is it premature to meet with an architect to help design the space with sketches and ideas? Would the next step be to take these sketches to the bank? If I may, I would say definitely you're on the right path. You want to have those conversations with an architect. You kind of want to gauge and see what you could put on there. But please do not miss this step, which is community input. I know you're an owner, and trust me, I get it, right? When you're an owner, you're like, I can do whatever I want. This is mine. I own this, free and clear, etc. But please keep in mind that um, you still have to get zoning approval from the community, and you still have to get it approved through the zoning board. And the zoning board is going to ask you, did you check with the community? Is this something that the community wants? Because if they do not, I have seen, because we checked everything, right? We did our due diligence before. Trust me, I was out in the Juneteenth sweating with a big sign talking about this is our project design. We just want, your signatures. We went door to door to everybody in our neighborhood. We made sure we checked those signatures off face to face. But I've seen developers go in and had these grand projects, put together all the capital stack for it, have all the support from the lending institutions, et cetera, and they didn't get that community support. And as soon as they get into that zoning board meeting, the zoning board is shutting them down because they're like, hey, you got 5 people, 10 people have spoken out against your project. I don't think that this is something that the community wants. And it'll get shut down like that. So, have your design, right? But also be flexible to pivot it and make sure that you're presenting it to them, presenting it to the community, open house, go door to door, put it on social media, have maybe a community meeting, buy, coffee, drinks, if you're doing it during nighttime, some dinners or something light, sandwiches. So that way they can sit down and they can review it and you can have their input because you're gonna need their support for sure.
And when we talk about the architects and going to the bank and getting money, of course you're going to come to TREC to get CDFI money. I know this. I know it, Terry. It's fine. That's okay. Applications in the inbox. But when you talk about the timing of architect and your renderings and all those things, pre-development capital is for that, right? So talk a little bit about which way do you go? Do you want to have the pretty pictures, or do you want to get the pre-dev capital to pay for the pretty pictures? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you definitely want to try to get as much pre-development funds that you can. If there's some grant money out there, put in the RFP, put that work in. You're going to do some sweat equity. So put the work in to get as much money as you can. These projects cost money. So put the work in if you can. But if it does require you to come out and spend, before you spend, and the good thing is that you have a relationship with the lender, right? A lender directly with TREC, have a conversation with them, talk to them, say, hey, I'm interested in doing this project. I'm at this point in the phase. Would it be possible for me to get funding for it? And at what part of the process is it? If not right now, would it be reimbursable? Or if not reimbursable, would it count towards my equity contribution? I paid the architect plans. Architect plans may cost you 20 grand off rip. You may, I mean, for our project, it's insane. But sometimes it could cost you up to $80,000, So you got to understand how much are these things costing. So having those conversations help. not only just with the contractors themselves, but also with the lender directly as well, and keeping them in the loop as to where you're at in the process, what you're doing, and then they could tell you how they can further assist you.
Great. That's great. What else? Any more questions? You guys have to be burning with questions. I have 1,000, but this is for you all, not for me. I
wanted to ask about the rents on the apartment. You mentioned the subsidies. How were you able to reduce the rents and make it affordable?
So because it's coming in with a subsidy from the state and the county, they have specific earmarks for how much you could charge for the rent and specific earmarks on their incomes, the incomes that they want to have in that property. So we have to abide by what those are, and they change annually.
Okay, that's actually helpful, isn't it? Just to
It
have some
does.
parameters.
Yeah, it does. I mean, not for nothing. It helps and it hurts. Let's be real here. It helps on the front end because you're getting this capital to help make this project viable, right? At the same time, it hurts because if you're trying to, in our position, get equity investment, right, from other organizations or private equity, they're looking at, well, what's the return of rate? How much money am I going to make from this project? And because you're capped on the rental income, that also brings your ROI down as well. So it's a double-edged sword in that way where you have to really, at that point, try to find ways to lower the cost to help you with the income. And then also too, you're capped on that income. So they don't, excuse me, they don't want to give you all of the subsidy and then your project is actually making more money even with the rents as low as it is. So it's very fine line that you have to figure out and carve out, and having a consultant, a consultant that does tax subsidies, historic tax credits, LIHTC deals, low income housing tax credits. That's very pivotal to have on your team because they can help you navigate those things.
And what would you say is um, so with your relationship with your partner, what would you say was maybe something that if you were to start over with a new partner, what's something that you would guard against, or what's the lesson learned with your partnership? Because I know it doesn't, like you said, it's not perfect. It's a relationship. And so, what would you say you learned from the relationship that you might do next time, or something that didn't go as planned, maybe?
Yeah, that's a great question. Shout out to my sister Brandy Barrett. I gotta make sure I mention her name, and Casey Benitez as well, um, and Tammy as well, Tammy Jones as well. Um, I would say for me, it would be to try to get as much as you can in writing up front, instead of trying to go through the motions and then having to figure it out. Unfortunately, in our situation, we were building it as we were flying. That analogy is very real. So we were building as we're flying. We're like, all right, we're gonna take off. We're gonna do this, and then money's starting to come in, and we're like, oh, we're going. We're gonna keep going. And then some challenges happen, and then it's like, all right, but we don't have a contract. We still got to get this done. But thank God, I've just been really blessed to have somebody that I really do trust and have respect for and love as a person, that we could and have gone through things on this project that has tested us, as individuals. There's been nights where I couldn't sleep because it's so concerning of this project, putting in this effort. Yeah, we've been able to raise, 900,000 dollars in grant money. Definitely nothing to sneeze at. At the same time, it's still hard. We still want to get this project completed and sticks on the ground. So it's difficult. And even for her as well, she's the one who's been putting up a lot of the money up front because she is the principal investor, the principal owner on this project. So her name, her capital has been put up on these loans. And then I've been coming in on the back end now to help out and assist. So, we just prayed on it. If we had any questions, comments, or concerns of one another. We definitely voiced it. I think transparency is key, accountability is key. And once you start going into CEO mode and business mode, you really start learning like what your shortcomings are. For me, I understand and I know I'm a little bit more impatient. I'm more like, let's go. Like, what do we need to do? Let's make it happen. But that's how I'm wired. I'm wired like that because that's how I was able to do my closings, as an individual, as a loan officer, as a real estate agent. It's what's the problem? Let's make it happen. Let's close this deal so these people can become homeowners. I love that. So for me, it's like, all right, it's my work now. What do I need to do to get myself in a position to get these keys or really to build this project so that way we have a project and could go forward. And we balance each other. I'm more heavy into research. She's much more patient and doing her research. Sometimes she has more political cachet with people than I do. I have more political cachet with some other people than she doesn't, and we just balance off of one another. It's very much like a sport. Like, all right, where you at? Okay, I see you. We made the read. Let's go. And we got to a point now where we're in rooms and we don't even have to say anything to each other. We can almost kind of like think for one another and know, like, all right, this is what we need to do, and this is how we're gonna get better. So I'm grateful. Yeah.
We have
Thank you.
another question in the chat.
I mean, I'm blessed too, man. I have a black mom, I got a black wife, I got a black business partner, all females. So I'm in a good space when you're around your queens. And shout out to all my Latina and Caucasian queens out there too, man. Women rule the world. So if you want to go far, get you a woman partner.
Facts. Um, for the funding, so the question from Taylor Johnson says, for the funding that you guys have secured, is there ongoing auditing involvement from the funding sources? And are you on a timeline for completion? And are funds guaranteed for a limited time pending you all reach completion? Or is it more as long as you're processing or progressing, pardon?
Absolutely great questions. I think you're going to go far in real estate because you are already thinking like a compliance. Yes, the funding as of right now that we have been able to raise that, $900,000, that is secure, but it's contingent upon getting the remaining 80% money. So that's one thing that I think we need to change nationally is there's a lot of grant money and there's a lot of capital that comes in, whether it be from state, federal, city, county, but you can't utilize that funding upon the project for pre-development or upon the project not being completed. You basically have to pay it up front and then it's reimbursable. So that's a real challenge for developers like ourselves because we need the money to make this project come through. So it's tough. But it is technically secured, contingent upon us getting the remaining loan to make that project happen. And then are you on the timeline for completion of this project? Yes, there's timelines. We have, old man winter. Jack Frost is like right breathing on my neck right now. It's starting to get a little chilly. So the Tims will be coming out, of course. So I gotta get ready for that. And that also delays projects too, because you can't build when the ground level is frozen. So once the ground is frozen, your project essentially is shut down until the warmer months. And then yeah, they put timelines on you too, right? So also for that third part of that question, the grant money, right, is technically secure with that contingency. But then even that money has a timeline. Like they want you to utilize that capital because that's tax-paying dollars. And with everything that's going on right now, our political climate, that's $900,000 that they can use to help fund the city and other projects too. So it becomes so complex. And I'm saying this now, anybody who does real estate development and you get your project built, you automatically need a PhD for real estate because it is the hardest thing I have ever done in my career is to build commercial real estate or even new construction for housing. That's a challenge in itself as well. Some states have better laws. Shout out to Texas. You guys are doing some really amazing things with less restrictions. I might have to come down there for a few quick plays, but yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. So if you when, because we put it in motion, when you all are able to put your projects and build it and develop it, at least you got a PhD from my imaginary university.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What else? Any other questions? And there's some vets on here who have a lot of stripes. They've been going some rounds with this. Yeah, any final questions? Oh, there you go. Gary has another question for you in there.
Did you already have chosen a GC for your project, or how did you find them? So no, we're still finalizing that now. That's a good question. Highly recommend you vet every GC that you possibly can find. Make sure that they're licensed and insured, and that's also something too that the lenders are going to require. So you want to make sure that they have that ability and a proven capability of getting the projects done as well. You want to have that as best as possible for you. So I'm still working on that. Do you know the names of equity crowdfunding platforms? There's some that come to mind. Kiva comes to mind. Shoot, there was one. If you Google it, just look up crowdfunding for real estate. There's a few out there that they have. That you could check out and you could see that's public. They typically, some of them do have fees. Some of them say, if you raise X amount of capital, we are going to charge you 10% of that money. Some don't. So I definitely recommend that you look into that. And also to associations, like I said, I can't, echo this enough, but TREC, CDFIs, associations, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, NAREB, they have a chapter in Dallas. I know that. They have a chapter in Houston, all throughout Texas. They have the Developers Academy. You want to try to get connected with as many associations nationally and locally that are doing the work that you want to do, because they're going to have the lenders, they're going to have the practitioners that have been there, done that. They're going to have the funders in regards to maybe, digitally as well. So AI, there's a lot going on with cryptocurrency. I just had an interview on my YouTube channel. I shared my YouTube channel link there for you with the amazing interview that I had with Dominique as well. So check that out. And there's a lot of new innovative ways to raise capital for real estate development projects that, please explore, look into. I would say Chat GPT. Look up, I'm trying to raise X amount of capital for my real estate development project, and I'm based out of this area, and let ChatGPT go to work for you. That is $1 billion assistant, and I will tell you everything that I do within real estate, I utilize ChatGPT in some fashion or form.
Yep. ChatGPT and Notion. If you go over there and build you a Notion board, listen, I can nerd out all day, but you build you a Notion board and put that over there, it's your whole database. So
I'm gonna have to check that one out. Never heard of that one.
that's okay. We'll
Thanks.
nerd out together. Don't worry about it, Ryan. So with that, I think we're about 5 minutes out. Did everybody get something from this? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs
What?
up.
Oh, we got a new question.
New
What
question.
what
Yes.
drives you to continue with this challenging work? That's a great question because there's many nights and moments where I'm like, yo, F this, man. I'm not doing it. It's like it's a wrap. Like I don't even care no more. Um, it's the need, it's the community. I grew up, essentially in public housing. I grew up on Section 8. Um, I'm the first in my family, immediate family, to own a property. I understand what generational wealth does. I understand the power of real estate. And I love my community so much. And I see, the tragedy that happened at Tops, and how because we have a lack of supermarkets, something that we take for granted on a daily, just to get bare access to food. I didn't say great food. I just said food. Okay? Fruits and vegetables, milk, eggs, and you're gonna get, attacked, shot, killed because of the race that you are, the color of your skin, and we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough support. We didn't have enough protection. I see the inequities in education. I see the inequities in health. I see the inequities, economically for opportunities. And I'm tired of hearing these notions and anecdotes of, well, pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. And I'm tired of hearing, well, we don't have enough handouts. Like, nah, it's on us. It's on us. We want better for our communities. We have to build our own communities. You can't talk about someone else's house if you're not taking care of your own house. And at this point in time, we don't have enough builders. We don't have enough developers. Developers of color are less than 1%. We're unicorns. So I embrace everybody. If I see you on LinkedIn and you're doing real estate for sure, I'm supporting you all the way. Because if we're not going to support one another, who is? They're taking everything from us right now. So we got to lock in. This is going to be our rally time. This is when we do better, and this is how we answer the call. So as challenging as it is, the the responsibility is even greater. And I take it and I wear it on every day. I pray to God, Allah, the grand universe, architect, whoever you subscribe to. I pray on it, and I don't pray for a lesser load. I pray for a stronger back. And that's how I go at it every day and I attack it every day. Um, You said you
Preach.
asked because I talked to an investor and he advised me to create an Airbnb because development is so hard. It is. It is. If it was so easy, everybody would do it. Because there's so much money to be made. It's such a big, impact. However, it takes and requires everything from you. I was actually thinking about this real quick this morning. I was like, man, what do I say to this group about like doing this work? And I thought about it and I'm like, it whatever are your shortcomings or challenges or things that you need to improve on, real estate development is going to bring that out of you. And it's going to challenge you to do better at that. And what you think you do well at is going to challenge you to do even better than that. So I'm just grateful. I'm blessed to be doing this work. I try to take it as digital as possible and created the YouTube channel to help people and encourage people like yourselves to either get started or to continue to do the work that you're already doing. And also for me too to learn, right? I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to master my craft as best as possible. So I just appreciate the opportunity and hopefully the collaborations that we'll all be working together. It doesn't have to be financially. It could just be moral support, coming out to see each other's projects, sharing or liking a video, sharing or liking a comment. All of that stuff goes a long way because you never know who's watching and the future generation to come.
You're just dope, Paul, and we appreciate you. I always appreciate you, of course. So with that,
Appreciate you. Thank y'all.
we are at time, but feel free if you have other questions. Just I think you dropped your contact, yeah, your LinkedIn's in the chat. And then if there are other questions, just email and we'll go from there. Kiwanis, anything else on your end? Are you feeling good, feeling great?
I do not have anything. Thank you so much, Paul. Hopefully, I can visit Buffalo one day when it's not 6 inches of snow on the ground.
It's a no
Six
from me.
feet, not
Oh,
inches.
feet. You know what? See, that's a sign.
But you got cowboy boots, so bring the cowboy boots. Just make sure they're insulated.
Oh, wow.
It's a no for me, dog. All right. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your day, and
Thank you,
we
Paul.
appreciate you, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank y'all. Looking forward to your projects. Please connect on LinkedIn and subscribe to the YouTube channel.